Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. Well, nobody's talking about it, but I did a previous video on the state of Haiti, or the country of Haiti, that has been taken over by gang violence, and there's political corruption, and their government is in an upheaval. So what does that say from a tourism standpoint? Maybe you don't want to go to Haiti. We know that in Mexico, you have guerrilla warfare, and in many cities in Mexico have been very dangerous for tourism and, of course, for the citizens of Mexico. And now we have upheaval and turmoil in Trinidad and Tobago. Their government has been in an upheaval with gang violence, also just like Haiti. So this video is to bring awareness. For those who want to go to Trinidad and Tobago, you might want to think twice, and it makes you wonder why our U.S. government is not trying to help these third world countries or these Caribbean countries like Haiti, Trinidad, and of course Tobago. And let's talk about it. There's a state of emergency taking place in these two countries. So let's get into it. Trinidad and Tobago streets are a bloodbath. A state of emergency has been declared amid unprecedented gun violence, but no one in our stagnating government is taking responsibility. Just before the new year, Trinidad and Tobago's government declared a state of emergency after a weekend of gun violence. Trinidad and Tobago, a country of about 1.5 million people and once the wealthiest in the Caribbean, has been plagued by decades of poor economic and social leadership, gang violence, home invasions, murders, and corruption. There is human trafficking problems with young women as the main target. It is a transshipment zone for cocaine and other illicit drugs moving from Colombia and other South American countries to the insatiable markets in the US, UK, and Europe. It was ranked number 76 out of 180 countries on our Corruption Perception Index in 2023, and there has been no real improvement in years. In a press conference teetering on the edge of absurdity, the Minister of National Security, Fitzgerald Hinds, and acting Attorney General Stuart Young attempted to elucidate and to justify the government's declaration of a state of emergency in response to escalating crime. Notably missing was the Prime Minister, Keith Rowley, whose absence was dismissed with the baffling claim that his presence would have been inappropriate. Equally glaring was the lack of accountability from Hinds himself, who remains in office despite presiding over the worst years of escalating crime in the island's history. Asked if he would resign over his record, Hinds allowed Young to dismiss the question for him. The ministers assured citizens that while their constitutional rights were now effectively suspended, they could rest easy knowing that Trinidad and Tobago's Carnival 2025 in March could proceed unimpeded. So this is why I'm doing this video. People go to Carnival in Trinidad and Tobago, and it's coming up in 2025. And of course, their government administrators are trying to suppress the amount of violence that's taking place. And this should be a wake-up call that you may not want to go to Carnival in Trinidad or Tobago this coming year if they're having all of this public safety unrest. And they're trying to deny it. They want the tourism dollars. No curfews or bans on public gatherings would be imposed, as the government's main intent was to protect the economy. This was cold comfort to Trinidadians who have been living behind barred doors and windows under their own curfews while criminals roam free to make bloodbaths in the streets. It is decisive action they need, not economic prioritization. The ministers lean on platitudes, citing Rowley's past expressions of disappointment at the crime situation. The police commissioner, Erla Harwood Christopher, was also said to be disappointed with the crime rate, a sentiment echoed by citizens who questioned why expressions of disappointment seem to be the only tangible outcomes from those in power. The message to citizens was clear. While the government grapples with the rampant crime, the party will go on, constitutional rights notwithstanding. The state of emergency feels less like a solution and more like an attempt to sidestep the hard questions of leadership and accountability by the government. In November, Rowley accepted an extremely generous pay raise for himself and his ministers, an increase that comes at a time when public servants, including overburdened port workers, are pleading for overdue adjustments to their wages amid the unrelenting surge in the cost of living. In the country where a private corporation, where management is rewarded based on performance, many government ministers, prime ministers included, would have long been shown the door. Trinidad and Tobago's murder rate in 2024, the highest on record, marks the country as one of the most violent in Latin America and the Caribbean. The 623 tally could have been worse. According to HENS, another 713 people survived gunshot wounds. So 623 people died and 713 people been shot and survived. Caught between an entrenched legacy of corruption and a desperate need for visionary leadership, Trinidad and Tobago has long been weighed down by poor governance. As a select few in power enrich themselves, the citizens they serve face economic decline and escalating violence. This is an election year, and so the perennial question will be asked, why do so many vote along entrenched party lines? It is not without answers. Yet the phenomenon resembles a collective political inertia. This happens in America too, where people just vote based on name recognition, based on party lines. They vote emotionally and not intellectually. Look at the similarities. The situation encapsulates a broader Caribbean reality. The country has been governed by the same party, People's National Movement, PNM, for 47 of the 62 years since independence, which has shaped the political, social, and economic realities of the country today and locked it in a cycle of stagnation. Political accountability appears to be an alien concept, with Rowley consistently deflecting blame rather than addressing systemic failings. Over the past 10 years, the administration has been plagued by inefficiency, incompetence, and corruption. Not only Hines remains in his role despite failings, the Minister of Finance, Colm Imbert, an engineer by profession, has presided over the economy that has generated a serious foreign exchange imbalance while perpetuating deficit budgets. This is the minister who laughed at how citizens had not rioted after he reduced fuel subsidies several times. In 2024, as crime ramped up, the government focused on arresting a YouTuber for sedition and on mobilizing its police force to investigate and obey man's wild threats against the licensing office. This institution, equivalent to the UK's DVLA, is part of the Transport Ministry led by Rohan Sinanan, another minister with a record as poor as the nation's roads, and chiefly known for being jeered at by the public wherever he goes. There are absurdities that speak volumes about displaced priorities, and the Prime Minister must stop assigning blame and address the urgent issues making life difficult for citizens, instead of allowing incompetent ministers to keep doing the same things while expecting different results. Rowley's own former leader, Patrick Manning, described him in 2009 as a hateful, out of control, and a raging bull when he did not get his way. The then Prime Minister Manning's public criticisms were unprecedented against a minister from his own party. Rowley's leadership certainly often lacks professionalism. He recently attacked a local economist, decreeing her analysis of the foreign exchange dilemma as jackassness, while admitting to only having read the headline. The report claimed that $25 billion had gone missing from the country. But this is the kind of unfettered speech we have come to expect from this prime minister, who has been called out for misogyny and racism, equating women to golf courses that must be groomed and citizens of East Indian descent as the recalcitrant minority. Another recent controversy has been attacks on the Auditor General, Jawante Ramdas, who attempted to scrutinize an extra $2.6 billion in revenue that suddenly appeared in a second version of the public accounts after a previous incomplete submission by Imbert's finance ministry was questioned. Imbert then tried to block her judicial review. Even when extraordinary measures are taken to bring in solutions and expertise, the inertia of corruption and lack of political will stifles meaningful change. These failures are not unique to Trinidad and Tobago. It is a regional ailment. The citizens of many of these nations are not only disillusioned, but also desperate for change. The brain drain continues as educated, skilled young people seek futures abroad rather than navigate corrupt systems that stifle their potential. What does this mean for the future? In a region with such cultural richness and global contributions, the loss of talent and migration is devastating. A direct result of this exodus in Trinidad and Tobago has been what is known as Kykistocracy, where some of the most unqualified and unscrupulous folks hold office. To progress, the country's leadership must undergo a transformation akin to the revolutionary reforms led by leaders such as Maya Motley in Barbados, or Motley. Leaders with the courage to challenge entrenched interests, to prioritize citizens over political loyalty, are rare but not unheard of. As the country looks to the 2025 elections, citizens must ask themselves what they truly want. Entrenched parties such as the PNM, or the United National Congress of the opposition leader, Kamla Persad Bissiar, steeped in its own controversies and failures, should no longer enjoy unchallenged support. New political movements such as the Progressive Empowerment Party, PEP, may offer an alternative, but it remains to be seen whether they can provide the clean governance and dedication so desperately needed. Trinidad and Tobago deserves leadership that respects its people, harnesses resources ethically, and enacts policies with a view towards sustainable, transparent governance. It is time to move beyond hollow promises and deliver real, measurable results. For a people who have given so much to the world, better governance is a rightful demand. Wow. That was a very interesting story. So for those who are not worldly and haven't been paying attention to what's going on around the world, not only is Haiti in a gob's amount of trouble and gang violence has taken over that country, now you have Trinidad and Tobago under the same circumstances where gang violence and gun violence and public safety have become a real issue. Why is this important for someone doing a YouTube channel in America? I think our number one concern in America is public safety. We have this influx of this illegal migrant issue. We have too many guns on the street. We have many blue cities and blue states that have made these liberal laws where people are not being held accountable for crimes that they commit. They're not going to jail or not having court dates. They're getting out under their own recognizance. And I think public safety is an issue worldwide. And Trinidad, Tobago, Haiti are just the tip of the iceberg on what we're seeing with corrupt governments, corrupt politicians. We need to make sure as citizens that we not only vote intellectually, way more meaningfully than emotionally, but we need to pay attention to the laws that are being legislated and how our legislators are putting these laws on the books. And we need to get rid of corruption by any means necessary. If our politicians and our leaders are corrupt, there is going to be a deleterious effect that will affect the citizens of that country or this country before you know it. And this is what has taken place. And you see it all the time in third world countries. Mexico has all kinds of issues with the drug cartels, with guerrilla warfare. In many cities in Mexico, tourism, it can be a safety hazard. And now you're seeing in Haiti, Trinidad and Tobago, these same issues are taking place. And I think you're going to see this in many other countries, small countries, where you're going to have upheaval with the people in the streets, these gangs that are going to try to overthrow their governments. This can be seen and has been seen and is biblically noted. So we have to take a real good look at what is going on, not only in America, but across our entire landscape of this world. What is happening? There is a boiling point of civil unrest that is taking place in many countries in our world. And I think there will be other countries, small countries, that are probably having the same issue, and potential upheaval of their government could be a potential problem. So we need to stay awake, stay woke, pay attention, and if you are traveling, make sure that you know what is going on in some of these other smaller countries, and to make sure that they are safe havens for you to enjoy your time there. Tell me what you think about this issue in Trinidad and Tobago. This has been the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth.